It is still very unclear about how this crisis could end. But with Gadhafi leading Libya for the last 40 years, if he is gone, a major power vacuum will need to be filled. To talk about that, I'm joined now from New York by Middle East expert Mona Eltahawy. Mona, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Marcia. Thanks for having me.
What happens if Gadhafi leaves, given that there has been no real opposition party these past 4 decades?
Well, I think it's really important to remember that that's exactly what Gadhafi has wanted, because like many other dictators in the region, he's worked very hard to ensure that there are no viable alternatives to his rule. And whenever Libyans have risen up in the past, and they've risen up many times, he's violently crushed them, he's executed them, he's sent them to jail, or he's pushed them into exile. So it's always been to his interest that there's never been any kind of opposition to him. But I think what we've seen happening in the eastern parts of the country, in Benghazi especially, is a wonderful unity that has brought Libyans out together to topple him. And I think this unity will continue. We're seeing Libyans use their old flag, the flag that they used before Gadhafi took over after a coup in 1969. And we're hearing about a lot of tribes who have abandoned Gadhafi and have joined the marches and the demonstrations for freedom in Libya. So I think this all speaks to this unity that Libyans will hold on to. And I don't think we'll see any of this chaos or civil war that both Gadhafi, father and son, have been using to basically fearmonger and say that there will be chaos after us. I don't think that will be the case at all.
I want to follow up with a couple of questions. You mentioned his sons. If the father falls, will they go as well?
Absolutely, because during the past few years, in the absence of any viable alternatives to his rule, Gadhafi, again, like Mubarak in Egypt and other leaders in the region, was said to be grooming his son, Saif al-Islam Gadhafi. And Saif Gadhafi was often portrayed as this reformer, but he really was no such thing. He basically played this role as the good cop to his father's regime's bad cop. And much as we saw the end of the Saddam Hussein regime and the sons were killed, obviously, much as we saw in Egypt, Hosni Mubarak stepped down and Gamal Mubarak was no longer a viable alternative. And also the same in Tunisia, where the son-in-law of the dictator is also no longer a viable alternative. So we will not hear of the Gadhafi sons being alternatives. I'm sure Libyans will make sure of that.
Mona, we speak as though this is a done deal, that Gadhafi in many ways is already gone. But I'm wondering, are we underestimating how much support he may still have?
No, I really think Gadhafi is a done deal. He's been a done deal for many days now. And I think just watching his speech has just kind of become increasingly deranged. And it's obvious he lives in this parallel universe where he's basically addressing a television camera and a few people. I think that he's losing support more and more every day. And every day we see defections among his security forces, among diplomats, and among people who used to be loyal to him all these decades. I think his days are numbered.
His days are numbered. I want to ask you one last quick question. Given that he does appear to be volatile and unpredictable, how frightening is that, Mona?
It's absolutely frightening. You've seen the horrendous violence that he's unleashed on Libyans. Their courage is unimaginable. I mean, we don't have a figure for exactly how many people have died, but it's at least 500 or 600 over the past day, since the uprising began. We've heard of the bombardments, we've heard of the mercenaries. Gadhafi in the past has hanged people on live television. We put nothing beyond this man. He is a brutal thug, and he's made this very clear. And again, the courage of Libyans has been unimaginable. And I am sure that they will unite and fix their country, because Gadhafi has tried to make it seem he's the only one for Libya. He has unleashed a war against Libya, and the Libyans will win this war.
Mona Eltahawy, great to talk to you. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Marcia.